Sweet. So today we're going to be working this problem here. It's called codingaim.com. If you go to codingaim.com/IDE/puzzle/ASCII art, it will take you to this one. I've already done it, so here is a functioning solution here, but I figured what would be kind of a cool thing to do would be to walk through the process of doing it instead of just going ahead and walking through my code. So I'm actually just going to take a brave step, delete all of this stuff, and we're going to start from scratch. How's it going, Panda Say What?
Yo, how's it going, man?
So this is going out to people that are not like Denver Flatiron people. So can you do me a favor and just give them a beer, 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 beer?
Oh, give me 2 seconds.
Okay, thank you. For those of y'all who don't know, Jordan Panasowitz here is the DJ at Denver Flatiron. And as such...
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
As expected, we got some excellent sounds in here. Okay, so I'm going to delete all this, start from scratch. I kind of remember a little bit of how my algorithm works. We'll talk about the problem statement in a second. What just happened there? Oh,
I'm not seeing a screen yet if you're sharing.
Oh, yep. I forgot to share my screen. Sweet. Thank you so much. Hello, Niketa. I am John. Going to work out this algorithm. Have you given this algorithm a shot yet?
No, I looked at it a couple nights ago, but
Sweet. No problem.
I haven't given it a shot.
So I've worked this problem already, but I deliberately just deleted everything I had because I figured it would be cooler to see like the thought process behind doing it. I'm an instructor over at the Denver campus. The other two students in here I know pretty well. So, well, Jordan's not a student anymore. He's a graduate. So awesome. So the concept of this is they give you like, basically they give you this, right? This is your... What are they calling that? Rows.push row. Oh, okay, cool. So they're making a variable. I need to get this boilerplate set up. Let me make sure. Is there a way to refresh this? I think so. Yeah, reset the code. I'm going to do that. That would have been a lot easier than just deleting everything. I just want to check to make sure I understand what these variables are. But here they say L is going to be the width of the ASCII letter. So in this case, and this is something that when I did it the first time, it took me a minute to realize, but the width goes all the way until the start of the next one. So for example, this Manhattan like ASCII art font has a width of 4, and then it has a height of like, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I don't know if you can see, there's just 5, like hashes stacked on top of each other, hashtags. And then T is the line of text composed of n ASCII characters. So T is just the word that we want to convert. But then here what they're saying is they're creating, so what they're saying is this is the input that they're plugging in. So first they're plugging in this row, then they're plugging in this row, then they're plugging in this row, then they're plugging in this row, so on and so forth. So that means that they're sort of giving you the font. And the font that they're giving you this output. They're giving you a library from A to Z. And ultimately, like, the thing going in is going to be, the first line is just this line of that. This is not easy to highlight, but this first line of that. The second line will be the second line of that. And they kind of leave it to you on how you want to parse that out. For me, what I did was I made an array of those strings. So to solve this problem, I'm actually going to not be inside of this. Instead, I'm going to do it in a testing environment because I like to do test-driven development. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to set up a TDD environment. I know Jack and Jordan are familiar with that. I'm not sure if you've ever done anything like that. But I'm going to show y'all exactly what I like to do there, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So this is how you write tests. And if you did not know already, writing tests is not just for it's not just for quizzing someone. It also helps you write code if you know how to do it right. So I'm just going to cd into my throwaway folder. I have this custom command I made called code in. It just creates a folder and opens it up in code. And we're going to call it ASCII art. Nice. Opening up code, opening up code. I'm feeling a lighter color theme today, and since it takes 2 seconds to change, I think I have one called like Rose or Fluffy maybe. Nah, Burba. Bam, there we go. Nice and bright.
Changing your theme every time is some real like chaotic energy right there. I don't know.
I'm a very chaotic person. So the first thing that we've got to do, if we want to do TDD, which is what I like to do, is I'm going to npm init-y, and this just sets this up as a node project, and I could do npm install jest. I do that. I get some stuff in here, and while that's doing its thing, I'm going to go ahead and go to Google, and we're just going to create a repo for this, because why not? I want the GitHub commits. You should want the GitHub commits, especially if you're about to be hunting for them jobs. So I'm going to go, ooh, whoops, github.com/new. Bam.
Does this lesson feature GitHub, test-driven development, and an algorithm cracker?
Yeah, it's almost like you thought you were getting one and you're getting everything.
Man, that's crazy.
Copy these lines. I like to do the git part manually myself. So I'm going to git init, git add commit. Oh, before I actually do a commit, I want to make sure that I ignore my node modules. So to do that, you create a .gitignore, and I will just reference node modules. And if I was right, hey, that thing grayed out. Cool. So now that I know that that's working, I am going to add all and then write a commit message. And we are going to say just environment setup git push origin master. Oh, whoops. I need to copy those lines of code from there, and it'll do that. Changes the main one to main instead of master, pushes up, and now I'm just going to create 2 files. I'm going to have an ASCII art, ASCII.js, and then I'll also have an ASCII.spec.js, and we are almost there as far as the setup goes. It's really not that much more. Cool. So actually, before we do that, I just want to get this library written down as a variable. So we're going to go to this right here, and we're going to copy all of it, because I know that this is going to be essential in my little algorithm here. So because it kind of gives it to you via like console input, it's going to be easier to just make this thing a variable and refactor the code in the coding game in the coding game IDE. So to make this thing an array, wrap it in an array, set it equal to, we'll call it font1, I guess, for now. And all we have left to do is we got to put 1 in the beginning. Whoops. 1 at the end. Nice. 1 in the beginning, 1 at the end, 1 in the beginning, 1 at the end, 1 in the beginning, 1 at the end, 1 at the beginning, and then, hey, cool. We have that worked out now. Nice. So if this all printed nicely, it is probably worth a quick check just to see that all of this was copied over correctly and I didn't miss any spaces or anything. I am just going to console.log font1 dot join via a new line character. So a new line character just moves on to the next line. That's how you actually encode for this being a different line than that. Give that a save. I'm going to run in here. I just want to run this in Node. So I'm going to do Node. Oh, whoops. Node ASCII.js. Bam. That looks right to me. That's exactly what I wanted. So that tells me I copied it over right. And this gives us a really good starting point. Now let's talk a little bit more about what the problem is. So the problem would be that they give me this. They give me this, and using this font, I now have to be able to create a word. So I have to take this thing and break it apart to where I can say, let's say they choose the word apple. I would get this as my A. I would get, let's see, this is my P, so on and so forth. You get the idea. I kind of had a few steps to this. It's going to take me a minute to think about this. So I know the first thing that I'm going to need to do, I remember I had a function that I called create grouping. And basically what I did was I said I need to create like, I probably could come up with a better name for that. But like what I need to do is I need a function that just grabs like, oh, okay, I need to grab here to here for if I have an F. I need to grab here to here if I have an F, so on and so forth. Another thing that's even probably more useful before that is I need to figure out like, let's just assume I could pretty easily find a way to do the math where I split this thing up into like, oh, A is going to be all, I get like an array of arrays. So this will be the ultimate goal. I get like, not the ultimate goal, but one of the steps along the way. I get a step where it's like, oh, okay, here is all my things for letter A, like space, pound, space, space. You know, let's see. This one would be pound, space, pound, space. You get the idea. And ultimately it would just be like this letter A. The goal would be an array of arrays where each array represents a different letter. Well, in order to index that array, I need to grab an index from a character. And also in the problem statement, it says that anything that's not a letter A through Z becomes a question mark. So the first function that I want to test is I want to describe, let's see, I want to make a get index of a letter. So if I want to do that, start here. So I want to describe this get index method. All I do is plug in a letter and it spits out an index. And I can describe what this thing should look like. We're now starting to do some jesty stuff. So some test-driven development. So in other words, I want to figure out what this function does before I actually write it. So the very first thing is I would say it should output 0 for A. Okay, so let's start with that. So in order to actually test this function out, I need to write it first. So I'm going to, well, before I even write that, I can also just literally write the test for it without anything working. I could say get index of A dot to B 1. And this is totally a valid test right now, even though it's failing. By the way, let's check to see whether it's failing or not. I am going to type in npx jest -- watch, and cool. Uh-oh, did it not pick up on it? Oh, yep, there we go. I'm failing. So yes, I am failing this test because get index is not defined. Of course it's not defined. We're not in that file. So that means we need to write some stuff on it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and import it. So const get index equals, I'm importing it from the local ASCII file. And then I also need to export it here. So function get index is going to take in a letter, and I need to, for now, I'm going to hard code the answer. Return 1. Whoops, it should return 0. And I am going to export it just to know that that worked. So I'm going to type in module.exports equals this guy, get index, and now I should be passing the test. Definitely not a good function. Oop. I said it should equal 1. It shouldn't actually equal 1. It should equal 0. It should be the 0th index. So that was a bad test there. And now this is a great written test. Oh, it says it's not a function still. I wonder why. Get index. Get index. Get index. Huh. Still saying, oh, expect. This is just bad syntax here. It's supposed to be expect get index a to be 0. There we go. Cool. Now I'm passing the test, but it's still a terrible function. So I'll write another test where it breaks. Should output 0 for A. And now I actually have to think a little bit about what I'm getting here. So I actually, when I'm doing this kind of math, I like to pop open a node terminal and play around with something. So what I like to do is this. If I look at like character code for A dot char code at is how you check that in JavaScript. I want to say this is like, okay, it's 65. I think a lowercase a is 96. So,
Why?
whoops. Is that right? 97. But anyways, we're going to use the capital. So that means that if A is 65, right? That means that if I want this to be a 0 index, I can probably take the letter to uppercase and then subtract 65 from it. So now A will be 0, B will be should be 1, and so on and so forth. I think y'all get the idea, right? So that's what I'm going to start off with. I'm going to return, we'll say A, not A, we're going to return letter.charcode at 0, and then minus 65. Cool. That works great. For these inputs, I'm going to go back to that test I was running, and hopefully I'm be passing. Oh, and I also want to do it to uppercase. Dot to uppercase, so that way it works on the lowercase a. And cool, I am passing that. And also, I need something that I also want to see how this thing behaves with numbers. So with numbers, it should just output a question mark. It should output, 25 is going to be the last letter of the alphabet. So 26 is going to be that question mark for a number, and or anything that's not a letter. Right? Makes sense? So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, let's make sure that anything that's not a letter gets, I do want to make an exception, and this is only an improvement from last time I did this, that maybe I could make a way to handle spaces. The problem, you don't actually have to handle spaces, but if I did want to handle spaces, it'd be easier if I caught it here. I'm not going to worry about that for now, just because it's not in the problem statement. Maybe that'd be a good follow-up on this. Only because I also have, I have 2 hours to do this problem. So there's a good chance I could not get it. I don't know how long it'll take. We'll find out. But okay, so let's see. So it should output 26 for anything that isn't a letter. Now, again, if I was using spaces, I might make some exception for that. Cool. So what I want to do here is I want to make another function that just checks to see if something's a letter. I do is letter. I've written this function a bunch before, so I'm not actually super concerned about testing it as far as edge case goes. But the kind of strategy here, you check a character to see if it's a letter. The strategy is you return, okay. You could either do, so if it's an uppercase letter, then character dot to lowercase should not equal the character. Or if it's a lowercase letter, character dot to uppercase does not equal character. Those are pretty much the two cases. This will check whether or not it's a letter. It's not, if that seems like a super fast solution to that, that's literally because I've done this a bunch of times. It does check to see if something's a letter. If we want, we can write some tests for it real quick just to prove that. I think maybe it's worth doing, or maybe rather, since I know I don't really need this test because I'm pretty sure that this works pretty consistently, what we could do is we could put it in a node terminal. Bam. I could check is letter, and we'll do A, true, lowercase a, Z. I could check 1, false. Oh, that was a 3. I typed a 3. Bang. Cool. So it seems like that is letter function is working well. Again, I only did that fast because I know it pretty well. So I would say if this letter is a letter, and maybe I should actually change this to character. Character, this should probably be, and I will only return that if is letter character, else I will return 26. So now going here, it should output 26 for anything that isn't a letter. And I'm passing that one because I haven't put any tests in. So expect get index, let's just say, question mark to be 26. And actually, we can write a few tests on that. So since we're testing this feature, I can test this feature with multiple expect statements. So I can go here, 1. We could check it with a 0. We could check it with, I don't know, what would be another good thing to test? Backslash. Oh, that's not valid. That's why. Still passing all of these tests. Awesome. Sweet, so that get index is working nicely. Next, what I want to do is, since I have that index, I think one thing I need to do is I need to turn this thing into an array, right? So I need to take this thing and I need to split it by its width. And really, I don't even think you need the height because you can iterate through this thing anyways. So basically what I would want to do is I want to run through this. And so if this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is 4. Basically what I could do is I could say, oh, okay, let's say I'm iterating through this way. Whenever I am my I is divisible by 4. So like 0, 1, 2, 3, new array. 0, 1, 2, 3, new array, because it's divisible by the width. Make sense? That's kind of the strategy here. So what I will do is I'll make a function called get letter matrices. I'm going to call them matrices. No, they're arrays. They're going to be arrays because it'll be letter arrays. They'll still be arrays. Because in here we're going to pass in a font. We're going to pass in a width. That should do the trick. I'm going to replace this with width. Part of me wants to call this font library. Yeah. Font library and a width. So what I'm going to do is the thing that sucks about this is I don't want to test the whole library just because it's going to be a pain in the ass to actually write out. But what I could do is I could just test it at an index. So it's not a big deal. So what I could do here, I should be able to say so font library, which I should note here probably, maybe inside of the function. A font library should be an array of strings. Each string, where all strings, or each string is a line of A through Z in that font. Cool. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to iterate through this font library. So I'm going to go through, we'll do it the old for loop way. So we'll do for let line of font library. Very similar to a for each if you're used to a for each. It's not that much different. But basically what I'm going to say is I'm going to go through each of these, and on each of them, I'm probably going to have a return index or a return array. So we'll call this, since we're getting the letter, this should just be called get letter array probably. So I'm going to call this letter array. Isn't that convenient? Names should always feel like that. Like, oh, this name makes sense. And if you're struggling to call something, sometimes it's worth slowing down and being like, hey, what should I call this thing? Because while you feel like you might be slowing yourself down over something stupid and linguistic, a lot of times you're actually slowing yourself down because you don't understand the problem and you're trying to write code. That's, at least in my opinion, I get that a lot of the time. So it's often worth refactoring the names and shit of your code as time goes on, so that way you can make sure that it's a clean solution. But this case, okay, cool. So I have a letter array that I'm going to make. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this kind of like declaratively. So inside of this for loop, I'm going to say like letter array at, index 0 equals, you're going to push in, that this thing. Yeah, that string. So to grab that substring, okay, for let line of font library. So for each line, we still have to do another for loop. We are going to iterate through each line. Actually, I'm trying to think if this would run faster if you did it the other way. I think it'd be the same. But anyways, here you have to use the longer for loop. I'm going to say let I equal 0. I is less than, we're going to call it line dot length, and then I plus plus. What you also could do, actually, this would be better. I plus, watch this. I plus equals width. I need to think about that for a second. No, do I like that as much? We'll stick with that for now. I think we're going to run into an edge case problem with that. We'll find out. The nice thing about like TDD like this is you could test edge cases pretty easily. But basically what you're going to do here is your letter array, you are going to push to it. Let me think for a second. So, yeah. So for each line, I am going to say, no, this won't work. Let I equal 0. No, it will work. I want to test something. If I have, so let's say I equals 0. 0 modulo 4 is 0. No. Then let's say I have 4. No, I don't like this solution. I am going to, let me think about this for a second. For let line of font library, I think it would probably be better. Well, would it be better to iterate through the lines first or iterate through the index first? Because maybe if I iterate through the index first, let me see something. I need to dump in to, guess I'm going through the lines. I think it would be easier to go through the index first. So for let, I guess like starting index equals 1. Oh, 4. Oh, silly. I think this will be easier for me to think about. Equals 1. No, I'm gonna go back to what I had. Because I want to go and I want to dump this. So for my first line, I want to dump in this as my first point. So I'm going to do it this slow manual way. There's definitely a way to do this faster, but I'm going to say I make a count variable. So let index equals 0. And then what I will do is I will say let if I over 4 is equal to 0. And I do need to also account for like the 0th index, and I does not equal 0. Then then let's see, letter array at index which will start off as 0, is going to equal let's see, line dot substring, and then the starting value is going to be, if I over 4, I'm going to do I plus plus for now. There's definitely an efficiency optimization there. But so I'm going to say let array index line substring I think you could do it index times 4, right? So I think that works. Wait. Not, I mean, this is not the end. And then I think would be the ending piece. But let's talk about that for a second. And then I would also need to do index plus plus. I think would do the trick. I need to think about this for a second though. So we're starting off. Let's see. I'll go one down. Okay, so I starts off at 0, and it just is going to loop through this whole thing. And it's going to do that for all of them, for each line. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm saying if I over 4 equals 0, so bam, 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 and I is not 0, so basically I just don't want to increment it on the first run, then what I'm going to do is when I hit this one, I'm going to say, okay, my 0th letter equals line dot substring. So I'm starting at index. My index is 0 times 4 is still 0. And then I is going to equal right here. I think it might need to be I minus 1. I think this is the right logic. Let's go ahead and return my letter array. And just, I kind of want to just see what I get first. Oh, and I need a width. I did 4. So let me find 4, replace that with width. Cool. Find 4, replace with width. Cool. So I'm actually not going to do TDD for this one because I don't want to write out that whole thing. Oh, we could do TDD actually. It's not that hard. But I just kind of want to get a good gauge for it first. So I'm going to console.log get letter array. And then, so the font library is going to be font 1. The width is going to be 4. So I am curious if I go here and I do node ASCII. Whoops. But that is impossible to fucking read. Well, the good news is maybe I should just do TDD. We'll find out. That could be right. It could be wrong. It could just be weirdly printing. I'm not going to bother trying to figure that out. What I can do is TDD. So I could do describe get letter array, letters array. Bam. And I'm just going to do it should work with a Manhattan font. And what do I expect? I expect, what's it called? Get letters array. Get letter array. Should be letters. Nah, we'll do get letter array. Wait, I need to think about that. For now, we'll stick with what it is here. I'll think about renaming that. Should probably be get letter arrays. That's what it should be. And it will help me if I have this font 1 accessible here. Cool. Expect get letters array. Font 1. Width of 4. And then I guess I should index out the first one. Indexed at 0 dot to equal. And now in here, I want it to be 0. Oh, wait. It should be space, pound, space, space. Pound, space, pound, space. Pound, 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 space. Pound, space, pound, space. And 2 of those. So now I could check to see my TDD and see if that's working. To equal. Oh, Oh, I am pushing into my letter array. Wait. Oh, here I have letter array at index equals. It should be letter array dot push. Let's see if that works. Okay, so it didn't work. Let's see how. Oh, it might not like when you do dot push on an array that's there, or maybe it just needs to start off with if it's not there yet. If I guess you could do if I equals 0, since I is only going to equal 0 once. Oh no. I would say if I equals 0 and index equals 0. And then I would do letter array at index is going to be equal to an empty array. Let's see if that does the trick. Cool. Cannot read property push of undefined. Letter array at index. So I'm saying letter array dot push of undefined. So it's saying letter array at index is undefined. Oh, what it seems like would be easiest would be just defining this array. Letter array equals, man, I could manually do this, but there's a little hacky way I could do it. I'm just going to do, it's going to equal blank string, or we can do space dot repeat. Will that work? I'm just going to do a hacky way. I know there's a better way of doing it. Dot repeat 26 times. No, I'll just, yeah. I need 26 A's, and then I need to map it, each of them. Also, I just realized, no, that's fine. I need to map each of them to say for each string, return an array. And that should do the trick. A.repeat.map. Oh, that's split. Let's find out. Dot split. This is kind of hacky. But basically all I'm doing is making an array of 26 blank arrays. Cannot read property push of undefined. Why am I still getting that? A dot repeat gives me 26 A's. If I split them, I'll have 26 A's. It's not this, is it? Huh. And then I'm mapping them and saying for each A, return an empty array. Well, what we could do is console.log letter array. I have a feeling it's something stupid. I'm getting that. I'm getting the array that I want, which is 26 empty terms. So letter array at index, if index equals 0, then it should be dot push. I wonder if it's breaking on the first one or not. That's what I'm curious about. Index is 26 is where it's breaking. So that's where it breaks, right? It still says cannot read property push of undefined. That means that this index is going up to 27. How high is the index going? If I over width equals 0 and I does not equal 0, maybe it's the edge, just the end, and I does not equal the last term. So I will just say no, still running. Huh. Because it's breaking at 26. Now I'm just curious if I were to do this same thing, but with like 56, would it still break? Is it just an edge case? It's still breaking at 26. Nope. It just keeps going. It's going way higher than I expected. Let's see if I can actually figure out how high it goes, just out of curiosity. This thing goes all the way. Something's wrong if it's going all the way. Okay, so it stops at 129. 129 is probably like a multiple of 4. It's probably like 26 times 4. That's probably exactly what it is. That's where it's breaking. So that means that this index is being incremented too often, is all. So this index, this whole line should really only happen 26 times. So I just got to figure out why this is happening every single time. So what I think is going on is letter array index. I'm only incrementing index if I is up. Oh, and at the end, I have to reset it. So I also need to say else if I is equal to line dot length -1, I reset that index. Index equals 0. Bam. And hey, look, I passed that test. Also, I don't want this to be 25 anymore. 156. That's unnecessary. I should probably make that 26. See if it still passes. Yep, I'm still passing my test. I don't need that console log in there anymore. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to check the other letters. So I'm pretty sure if that's the case, let's do a B. So we'll just do a letter 2. So I'll go to 0, 1 should equal like a B. So whatever a B is should look like, I wonder if I could just copy this. Let's see, Control V, down. Oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Control V, bam. And then let's see if this works. Oh, I really hope that would work. Well, let's see. Bam. Easy enough to fix. Whoops. Whoops. Cool. I need to get rid of these, and then I need to have those. It looks like one of mine is short. No, is that right? 1, 2, yeah, it needs another one. So let's see, do I pass this test? Cool, it looks like I've passed this test too. So that's cool. Let's try checking the last letter, which is a question mark. And go change inside these, 26. And now I should probably just delete that and then go here, grab that question mark. Probably should also check the Z, but I don't know. We'll go for this. So this needs that. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, that needs to go all the way at that beginning. Wow, I'm not liking these auto quotes. Is that right? Okay. Bam. And then I just need to add some commas. Cool. Does it work? Oh, it didn't work. Encountered a declaration explanation. Received undefined. I'm thinking that that could just be that 26 thing. Maybe this needs to be 27. See if that solves the problem. I don't know. Okay. So why am I getting undefined? Ah, so I'm not getting undefined anymore. What am I getting? Could just be that I made the test case wrong. So I'm just going to go ahead and console.log. I am going to mute you just because I keep hearing some white noise. Feel free to unmute and ask questions if you want. I just heard some like microphone scraping. So I'm going to console log basically everything inside of here just to see what is it returning right now, because it might be like a dumb test case. Whoops. By the way, these are all people I don't know except for Jordan. If anybody wants to ask questions, like just please feel free. I haven't met most of y'all, but okay, so I'm not console logging anything. Interesting. So I'm getting nothing back. So what am I getting if I just get this? I guess I'm curious about. So I get, this is wildly unhelpful, but I'm getting 1, 2. My hunch is that I'm getting all the way to Z. So like I am curious now if I just do this indexed at 25, do I get the Z? Because it's just probably some edge case. It's just probably better to look at it and see. Oh, wait a second. 25 is giving me the correct thing. 26 is not. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. No, 25 should be Z, right? Am I crazy here? Because that's what I don't get. If it's working on 0, 24, it's just strange because it seems like everything's off by 1 letter. It might be easier for me to dot join by new line here. Cool. So yeah, 24 is giving me that. 25 is giving me a Z. I don't, oh, so 26 should be giving me the right answer. Nope. Yes, maybe. What did I console.log? Where's my console log? I got, it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's an edge case problem. Let's see if we can find it. So we're going, I is less than line length. Oh, because we're never committing that last character. That's exactly what it is. So if we reach this one, we're on the last one. Not only do we have to reset the index, but we also have to do this as well. I think that'll do the trick. Oh, maybe not. Letter array, index.push line substring. So we're at the index, maybe plus. I think +1 would do it. I need to think about this edge case here. So I might have to rethink this more carefully. It's working for everything but the last letter. So how are we doing on time? Yeah, we got time. I've got a class at 4 that I got to teach. I think we can get this thing done. I think it's actually, this is the hardest part right here. After that, it's basically just matrix concatenation, which is actually pretty easy. It's easier than you would think it would be. So, which is kind of cool. But so here, let's see. Excuse me. So we're getting, are we getting anything right now? Let me console log this with like some argument. Question mark. Am I even hitting that? Yeah, I'm getting nothing. So, okay. So yeah, it's definitely because I'm iterating through this whole thing and I'm not hitting that last one. So I'm going through and I am going, and then if I equals the line length minus 1, we are resetting that index, but we're not, what we're not doing is we're not pushing to that letter array. So it kind of seems like the thing that we're going to push is going to be oh, well, for one, this needs to be up there because, yeah. And then that might, does that do it? No. So if we're at that end, we need to push. So we'll be at index. So if we're on the last one, we're pushing at index times width. That makes sense. Is the start. The end will be, it is the last index though. Yeah, so if we're on the last index, we need to push that index. And that should be going from, let's see if it's, oh, this looks better. Oh, it looks like we're just missing a space at the end. Okay. I plus 1, I think we'll do it. Let's see. There we go. Cool. Got it. I thought that this is the kind of stuff that I think is maybe good sometimes for like just watching someone's process, because a lot of times you'll watch things where people already know the solution and they code it, and it just makes you feel dumb because they're like, oh, I know all the edge cases because I just worked the problem 20 minutes ago. I don't know all the edge cases. I have to find them. So that's me personally. Cool. But hey, it's working. So we got them. Sweet. Cool. Beans. Now we're getting this. Now what we have is the ability to grab a letter. So now what I could do is I've got this like letter array. So if I index this letter array at, let's say, like 1, it's going to give me a B. If I index it at 0, it's going to give me an A. Now what I could do is I could make a function. Let's do a get. See, I think this should be get letters array, not letter. You'll see why. So I'm going to actually change this to get letters. Give that a save. It's going to break everything. I'm going to go here, change this to get letter. And now I can make another one that gets me the letter array for a specific letter. So that's kind of like the goal there. So I'm going to do this one as function get letter array. Bam. And this is literally as simple as, so I'm going to input a letter, or a character really, and I'm going to return get letters array. Oh, and this should also have a font library. I'm going to follow the same order as before. Font library, and then a width. And here I'm going to have a font library and width. And also I need a character. And this will be indexed at get index. Is that a function I made? Get index at character. And if I'm right, what I mess up here? Why am I failing when I was passing before? Get letter, oh, right, that's an easy one. Get letters. Get letters. Cool. Cool. Now I should be passing everything. Oh. Letters, letters, letters. Cool, passing everything. Okay, now I can, if I want to, I can check that get letter array. So describe get letter array. But honestly, I'm just going to trust it for now. I feel like part of me feels like for good habits, I should probably test it. It may not always be the fastest to do things like this, but man, it sure does feel thorough. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do it that way. Oh, whoops, what did I just do? I don't know what I just did. I did some weird Vim command. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go bam. I'm gonna copy all these, except for that it statement. Describe, get letter array. And I don't want this statement. Something's wrong here. Let's see. I just need an ending statement there. Describe. All right, a second. I need. Hold up. Oh, why is my brain hurting? Oh, it's just this needs to be down there. Cool. And then now these, I'm going to make this get letter array, font 1, 4, and this time I'm going to pass in a character. So maybe I could pass in a dot to, or in this case, it would be a question mark dot to equal that. This one should be get letter array, font 1, 4, and then this time I'm going to pass in a B. And you know what? I'll do a lowercase b just to test it. And that way I don't have to rewrite all those letters. A. And this should be letter. And now, get letter array should be a function I import. Looks like I probably haven't imported it yet. Testing is can be a little daunting until you get like your workflow down. Get letter array. Oh, this should be letters. Yay! Cool, I'm passing all those tests. So the last part is how do I combine these things to equal a word? And it's actually not that bad. It sounds horrible, but like, so this is more of, this is actually a mathy concept that's not super hard. So like, let's say for a second, I have a, like this is my letter. So let's say A equals this. Or I'm not even going to give it a variable name, but let's say this letter equals, I don't know, everything in here. Right? Well, I have to join these by row. So I have to say, okay, I need to combine this one. This is an array of strings, and I need to make it to where this string now is all the way out there. This string is now all the way out here. This concept is called matrix concatenation. So this is going to be a modified version of matrix concatenation because normally you're just adding the arrays. And I think when I originally solved it, I did it a little different. But basically what I need to do is I need to take this one and say, okay, my new matrix is going to add these terms together. My next one is going to add the other ones. So we need to do that. We need to concatenate these matrices. So I'm going to make another function. I'm going to call it concatenate. That is what matrix concatenation is, where you're like dumping them together. And I'm just going to make it like pure math. So matrix 1, matrix 2. Okay, so basically what you do, it's not crazy. You're iterating through each of them and pushing through. So I'm going to iterate. First of all, you can, if you wanted to, you could be super secure about this and say if both of them have to be the same height, they do not have to be the same length. So if you really wanted a pure concatenation method, you might do if matrix 1 dot length, which is the height, right? It's the number of rows, does not equal matrix 2 dot length. This is totally something you would see in a real method. You could do throw new error, and you could say matrices must be same height in order to calculate. Sick. We're not really going to need that, but whatever. Basically what we do is we would say, let I equals, we'll create a new matrix. So let return matrix equals an array. Let I equal 0. I is less than matrix 1 dot length. It doesn't matter which matrix you choose because again, they both should be the same. And then matrix 2, I plus plus. We're gonna go back to the, whoops. We're gonna go back to here and add that let there so it doesn't break on me. Oh, I did a let. Oh my gosh. Cool. So now what I need to do is I need to say, okay, return matrix of I is just going to equal the summation of the other two. So the way that you would do that is you could do dot 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 matrix 1 indexed at I dot 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 matrix 2 indexed at I. That should do the trick. If we want to test that, we can. Oh, I also never returned it. So I do need to pull that open. So I probably need to return the return matrix. If I did want to test that, I could do describe, concatenate, and I'm just going to throw the things right in there. I'm not going to use the it statement. So I'm going to say expect concatenate of, let's do a 1 by 1. 1, and then 2, dot to equal 1 comma 2. Whoa, that freaked the shit out of me. Probably need to import it. So concatenate. Bam. Bam. What is my exception? I pulled it in. Concatenate. Concatenate. What did I call it in here? Concatenate. What is my declaration exception? Oh. Oh. Oh, it's not an iterable. Okay, cool. Good thing we... So what we could do is... This is going to be not the prettiest. If is greater than 1, else If it's not greater than 1, then you would say return matrix is going to return equals dot 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 made 2. That should do the trick. Yep. And then let's test it out for another one. Edge cases are fun. I don't really actually need this good of a concatenate function, which is kind of silly to be honestly doing it, but hey, we're here. So now if I have 1, so a matrix really should be like 2 by 2. So maybe we have 1 in here. And then I think this should be right. 2 in here. This should equal that. Should do the trick. I should just draw out these better. What is my problem? Let me make a better solution. Let's see. Test 1. Test matrix 1 is going to equal, let's go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3 by 3, and my test matrix 2 should equal a, let's do another 3 by 3. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I could just literally copy it. And I expect concatenate test matrix 1 test matrix 2 dot to equal, and now this should be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I just realized I may run into an issue here. We'll find out. Well, that's working though. So my concatenate is working. I just think I'm going to run into an issue because these are not matrices technically. So we'll see what happens when I do this. Well, what does a letter look like? I forgot. A letter looks like 1 letter array looks like this. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't think it's going to work, actually, now that I think about it. I think what would probably be better would be to this concatenate is not going to work as far as being a concatenate. So, but it is the right code, kind of. I'm not going to worry about that one edge case. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say return matrix is going to equal I think I could just do this. I think it's just a plus statement because it's a string. So I think that should work. Gonna fail some tests. And I just have to change them. So now I don't care about this test statement. Let's make test array 1 equals, let's go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoops. Oh, what the fuck? Dang it. Not sure what happened there. So I'll say test one is going to equal, it's just an array. 1, 2, 3. Expect, concatenate, test one, test two, dot to, oh, whoops, to equal. And now I should have an array of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Oh, I encountered a declaration exception. Because, are we doing on time? 3:07, I think we got this. What did I get? Oh. Interesting. So I just need to, that's just an extra layer of wrapping. So I just have to, I could do a hacky way around this or probably just fix the thing here. I just don't need this, that's all. Good thing I did not choose the hacky solution. And I'm passing. Sweet. Okay, I think that's doing what I want. Get rid of that console log, passing all my tests. Last step is I just have to actually concatenate all the words here. So the rest is actually pretty easy. The rest is, now I need a function. I'm going to call it render ASCII. Honestly, I'm not even going to use it because it's, the rest of it's easy. And I just want to get this thing passed. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to copy all this over to here. Let's see if I have to do this. There we go. Got them all in here. Sweet. So I am going to render ASCII. So I'm going to make a function called render ASCII. And this function is basically just going to take in a word, right? And all that I need to do, this like library, first of all, I have to parse out from here. So we have to kind of create that library. So this font1 is not really something I need. We have to get that library from this. So let's say font equals an empty array. And then what I need to do is font dot push this row variable that they give us. That should build out the font. Then what I need to do is I need to say, okay, how do I render this ASCII? So what I need to do is I need to say word dot split, and I need to split it by letter. And then I am going to say dot for each letter. We're going to call this ASCII letters. Is going to equal an empty array. So for each letter, I want to go through and just say ASCII letters dot push get letter array. Actually, I'm going to call this letter arrays. Right? So letter arrays, get letter array. And now we need to pass in, for that get letter array, we need a font library, which we're calling font. So we need a font library, a width, and a character. So font library, they give you this W for the ASCII width, right? OL. And then character is going to be letter. So now I have all my ASCII letters, and I need to join all of those. So then what I need to do is I need to do, let's see, ASCII letters. I need to change this back to letter arrays. Then what I need to do is let's create a word, ASCII word, I guess. ASCII word array is going to equal an array. ASCII letters dot for each. And the truth is this should start with ASCII word array. We're going to make, I got an idea. ASCII word array is going to equal the first ASCII word is what we're going to start it off. So it's going to equal letter array arrays indexed at 0. Whoops. And then here, instead of doing a for each, we're going to say for let I equals 0. I is going to equal 1, not 0, because the first one is already in there. I is less than letter arrays dot length I plus plus. We are just going to say ASCII word array. We are going to say equals concatenate ASCII word array with letter arrays indexed at I. So we're just repeatedly concatenating it. And then we are going to, this actually is supposed to be a side effect. So what we could do is console.log ASCII word array dot join by new line. That should do the trick. Oh, I need to render ASCII. So instead of console logging there, I'm going to do render ASCII, and we're going to plug in the word, which is T. Unexpected token. Font library is not defined. Did I pass that in down here? Oh. There we go. Success for the first one. Success, 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 success. We did it, baby! Cool. Any questions? Anything? Anything at all? Anything? Can I get a bear at least? I'll let you share your sound.
Oh, I shut down.
Oh, you shut it down? It's all good. I'll make the sound effects. Cool. How'd you feel about that, Jordan? Doable? Niketa? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm trying my best there. So
It's cool to watch like how you kind of broke things out into different little tasks and pieces and put it all together. And I like the way you explained it along the way too.
woohoo. How'd that feel, Niketa? Am I saying it right? Party? It's party worthy.
It's Nikita, but
Nikita. I'm so sorry. Nikita. I appreciate it. Yes. Try pronouncing
no.
Jordan's last name. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no. How'd that feel?
That was good. I didn't even know how to attempt it. So watching you go through it kind of lets me know where I'm at and, things I need to think about when I'm attacking these problems.
Is there any like functions that I did that you're like, I think I understand that, but could use a little bit of clarification? Because some of these maybe were a little more complex than easily explainable. And I got time. I finished in, I guess that was like an hour and 15 minutes. So I've got 45 minutes to go. So if you want some further explanation, perhaps other people watching this in the future. So like the goal is I'm recording a video now. So other people watching this in the future might benefit from that. So if anybody has questions.
I just have a
Party time. Jordan is one of my students, or was one of my students over at the Denver campus. So yeah, we know Jordan.
That's dope.
yeah, that's awesome to watch.
Should I stop this recording now?
Sure.
Bam.